I grew up in the small community of Wakefield, Kansas. In 1966, when I was 3 years old, the Milford Dam and Reservoir was built, and as the lake rose, the little town had to be relocated and moved up the hill. Most of the buildings were rebuilt rather than relocated, but in our town today remains a building that has been a haven for me throughout my whole life, the Wakefield Public Library. My mother brought me to this cozy, comfortable place when I was very young, and to this day I often visit to browse the shelves and check out stacks of books. While the building itself fills me with a sense of nurtured wonder each time I walk through the door, my memories of this haven are forever connected to two women who for generations were the foundation of the Wakefield Public Library, Miss Fern and Miss Frances Normandin. In 1914, a group of Wakefield women, who since 1908 had called themselves the Reading Club, determined that the city of Wakefield needed a library. Between the years of 1914 and 1929, the library was alternately housed in a room at the high school, a private home, a second-floor room of a local business, and a small ground floor level building owned by the Sanborn Lumber Company. When the library was moved to this location in 1929, Miss Fern Normandin volunteered to be the librarian. For several years, there had been talk of building a separate library building. During the WPA era, the opportunity presented itself to make this talk a reality. An architect drew up the plans, and the building was constructed of new native limestone with a main floor reading room, fireplace, small kitchen, and a basement that included a meeting room, furnace room, storage room, and modern toilet facilities. After a lengthy delay due to the resignation of the contractor, the Wakefield Public Library building was at last dedicated on February 5, 1938, and the dream of the Reading Club had become a reality. Still serving as librarian, Miss Fern had been given a raise from her previous salary of 25 cents per hour to a salary of $2.50 a week. If it was cold outside and she was required to build a fire in the coal furnace, she received an extra 50 cents per week. Newspaper clippings of articles published over the years note that according to the town's residents, the terms Miss Fern and the library were synonymous. As she faithfully served our community, Miss Fern said on many occasions that she saw the library as a community's window to see the rest of the world. As a child growing up in the 60s and 70s, my memories of going to the library always begin with climbing the big stone steps and being greeted by Miss Fern's warm smile and her gentle voice. When I was very young, the children's collection of books was shelved in the northeast corner of the building. In 1972, one of the first Pride projects in Wakefield was to create a children's library in the basement of the building. Much volunteer effort went into this labor of love, but there was no money available to pay a second librarian. Miss Fern's sister, Miss Frances, had taught at Wakefield School from 1927 to 1970. Because of her interest in children and their reading, Miss Frances volunteered to be the children's librarian. Over the next several years, Miss Frances continued to serve the children of Wakefield by recommending books, conducting story times and summer reading programs, as well as serving as 4-H project leader for reading. She worked to know each child's interests and reading ability. I don't ever remember a time that I arrived at the library that she hadn't put aside a book for me that she thought I would like or that she thought I should read. I'm not sure when she retired from her volunteer position, but during the years when I was growing into the reader I would become, Miss Frances seemed to always be there. Miss Fern retired in 1990 after 61 years serving as the librarian of the Wakefield Public Library. At a reception honoring her, local bank president Jerry Patterson noted that such tenure of faithful, loyal, and competent service will never be duplicated or matched. Upon Miss Fern's retirement, Miss Fern and Miss Frances were faithfully looked in upon by many members of the community. Miss Frances passed away in 1994 at the age of 88, and Miss Fern died in 2001 at the age of 94. When Miss Fern had considered the establishment of her trust, she directed that a portion of her estate be left to the Wakefield Library Board. In keeping with her perspective of the library as a community's window to the rest of the world, Miss Fern left $68,222.40 to use as the board saw fit to continue the service to the community of Wakefield and to provide a quality library. Today, when I enter the library and gaze at the shelves of books against the limestone walls, I still sense the encouragement and support of the Normandin sisters. Miss Fern and Miss Frances were responsible for the development of generations of readers. The legacy of their selfless service will ensure that the Wakefield community's window to the rest of the world will remain for generations to come.